Good morning, everybody. It's okay? Well, we're going to start. Today we have a very distinguished presenter on a topic that I really enjoy, actually, which is negotiation strategies, which is something I think for anybody in business is crucial, is essential. Not because you might be involved in negotiations all the time, I mean, with customers or with providers, but we negotiate every day when we wake up with our partners, in our family, with our friends, with our professors, you know, right? With classmates. So negotiation is part of a human experience. Now, getting down to business, Diego has a broad experience in negotiation. He's actually director of sales operations and at Procter & Gamble, which is a major multinational corporation, and he's part of his path in business, and he has also previous experience in Walmart and Genoma Lab in previous years. He has a degree in engineering. How do we translate this? Civil engineering, industrial engineering at Universidad Federico Santa Maria, and he also has studies in Austria in Klagenfurt in international management. So he shares some background with you guys who are in international business degree, right? So Diego, the floor is yours. and at the end of the presentation, there's going to be some space for questions and answers. And then at the end of everything, there's going to be a QR code out there for you guys to mark your attendance, okay? So Diego, welcome.
Thank you, Christian, for the intro. Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Can you please project the presentation? Okay, well, who doesn't know Procter & Gamble? Raise your hand. Okay. Well, Procter & Gamble is a company that has almost 200 years. It was founded in Cincinnati, US, and we manufacture and sell consuming good products such as shampoo, Pantene, Head & Shoulders, Gillette, fabric care products such as Ariel, Ace, Downy, fem care products such as Always, Tampax, oral care products such as Oral-B, Crest, Duralon, and so on. So we have to struggle every day with the biggest retailers in Chile: Walmart, Cencosud, Grupo Falabella, Salcobrand, Cruz Verde, and so on. So we have to negotiate a lot. I prepared a slide of myself, but Christian, thank you for the intro. So I'm not gonna get you bored with my background. The only thing important is I'm from Maullín. Maullín, I was born and raised in Maullín, which is a small city 1 hour away from Puerto Montt. So there is my family. And I studied in Austria, international management, for 1 year at the University of Klagenfurt. And I had the opportunity to be in Australia at the University of Queensland researching. My background is a supply chain, but in the middle of my career, I decided to change to sales. So my first sales role was Walmart key account manager, and then Genoma Lab, which is a Mexican company, came and offered me a job. I went there for three and a half years. I missed Procter & Gamble so much that I came back in 2022. Okay, negotiation. I love reading, so I'm gonna start recommending you 2 books. I hope you like reading. The first book is Bargaining for Advantage, which is written by Richard Shell. He's a lawyer and professor of Wharton Economics School. And Never Split the Difference, written by Chris Voss, which is a FBI agent. He had to negotiate with kidnappers to save hostages' lives. So that was his job. So all he writes there is about his own experience. But if you're trying to sell a product, right, to put a product into your customer hands, you start selling, right, to generate interest. But once you get the interest of your counterpart, you have to negotiate the sales terms, the payment terms, how much product at which price. So sales and negotiation are very linked. Yeah, but we're going to talk about negotiation. So what do great negotiators do? Yeah, first of all, they prepare. They do their homework. They research about the counterpart before sitting face to face to the person they are negotiating with. They have high expectations. They hire the goals, they hire the results. So you have to have high goals when you go to negotiate. Yeah? To lower the price if you are buying, to increasing the price if you are selling. You have to have patience to listen. Yeah? You have to understand the other part needs in order to be able to offer something which is interesting for the other part. And last of all, a commitment to personal integrity. Always do the right thing. If you lie or if you cheat in the negotiation, sooner or later people are going to find out. So you have always to do the right thing. This is what a negotiation process looks like. Yeah, it's messy. But here we teach models. Yeah, what's a model? Who can tell me what's a model? Model definition. Model? Okay, perfect. This is a simplification of the reality in order to make predictions. So professors are experts about models. So we're going to talk about the 4 steps simple model. So you have to start preparing your negotiation. We're going to talk about the 6 foundations of the negotiation. What are the 6 key factors that affects over a negotiation process? We're going to talk about the 2nd step, which is the exchange information process. Once you sit face to face to your counterpart, what do you do there? Once you understand the needs and you have your goal set, you have to do the typical give and take. I give you this, you give me that, and so on. And then finally, you have to close the negotiation. Yeah, you have to reach an agreement and to have a real commitment. So let's start talking with the first part of this 4 steps process. We have 6 foundations. 6 foundations. Bargaining styles, goals, what are your goal and the counterpart goal, the standards that surround the negotiation, the context, the relationships, how important is the relationship with the person you are negotiating with, the other party's interests, what are their needs, what do they want, not only within the negotiation itself, but what do they want in life. And leverage. Leverage, if I translate it literally from Spanish, is negotiation power. Yeah, but in the books they name it leverage. So we have 5 negotiation styles, but we're going to talk about 2. Yeah, there are the competitive negotiation styles, the sharks, the ones that want to win and make you lose, and you have the cooperative negotiation styles, the ones that want to win-win. So we find the best solution that make us both win. It's said by the books that women tend to be more cooperative and men tend to be more competitive. But we actually also have differences among continents. The Eastern cultures, they see negotiation as a relationship building process. In Japan, for example, they take a long time knowing the other part in order to build a relationship, long-term relationship. But in Western cultures, like in the US, they go to a point. They see negotiation just like a items exchange process. They are so more transactional. Yeah? So it's important to know what's the negotiation or bargaining style of your counterpart. Are you in front of a shark, which wants win-lose, or are you in front of a person who wants win-win? Yeah. This is the first thing you need to know about your counterpart. Goals. Yeah? If I'm buying a house, for example, yeah, I want to pay a price, and the seller, they have to set a price. They normally want a higher price. I, as a buyer, want a lower price. So we both, the seller, the other person, and the buyer, we have our goals. So if we have me as a buyer, this is the maximum price I want to pay, and the seller has this minimum price they want to sell, what happens? What happens there? There's no deal, right? So no deal. But if our Joaquín Lavín, buenos días. I've never seen him before, like in person. So I voted for you. Well, if the prices the prices crosses, like in this case, we have a SOPA, zone of possible agreement. Yeah, and the final price will be between those prices. Yeah, of course, I want it to be more like to this side, right? But we already have a SOPA, a zone of possible agreement. So you need to know what's the maximum price or the minimum price the seller wants to sell, and you have to be clear about your own goal. But our goals, yeah, the price I want to pay, how should they be? So they have to be clear. I have to know it, of course. They have to be ambitious, because there are studies that demonstrate the higher the goal you have, the higher the results you have. They must be achievable, of course, and they must be justifiable. Why do they have to be justifiable? Because if your counterpart asks you why, you have to have a good reason. If you don't, they could believe you're a shark, and the relationship could get in trouble. But normally, why we don't, as a negotiator, set higher goals? Why we are not so ambitious? The first reason is because we don't have enough information to set a good goal. But the second one is self-esteem. And actually, happiness is inversely proportional to expectations. So we normally set lower goals to surprise ourselves. If we set higher goals and we don't fulfill those goals, we get into disappointment, we get sad. So we try to set lower goals to be happy, and that's not recommendable for negotiations, right? So this is like a goal-setting plan might look like, right? I have my walk-away price. I'm not going to pay more of this. This is my goal, and this is going to be my first offer. So we always offer below the price we want to end up, because I have to concede, make some concessions in the process, right? So the other part don't think we are not flexible during the negotiation. Standards and norms. There are 4 principles we have to follow here. Standards and norms are the context that surrounds the negotiation process. So we have to follow the consistency principle. Who wants to be inconsistent? Raise your hand. Nobody, right? So everything you say might be used against you in the future. So be careful about what you say during the negotiation process. Industry standards. There are some standards among the industry. For example, if I want to buy a house with a broker, the average broker fee is 2%. I can negotiate that? Right, of course, I can. But the starting point is 2%, because it's an industry standard. I need to know the industry standards. Presence. So everything you do can be used against you in the future. So sometimes it's better to lose a negotiation, but to not leave a precedent that can be used against you in the future. You know, we're going to talk about more about that later on. And the most important principle is the other party standards. What do they believe? What are their beliefs? When I was a key account manager for Walmart, my buyer, the person who bought my products, he always said, we always need to put the consumer at the center. So every time I brought a proposal, a product, a new idea, this was justified by this principle. Because it was his own principle, his belief. So everything I said was with this, right? Relationships. This is a full day course about negotiation. So I tried to shrink it to make it fit in a 45-minute session. And we used to play a game with the students. But I'm going to explain you the game, and I'm going to explain you the results. Yeah? Let's suppose there is $100 bill, and we separate the students in couples. Yeah. Each couple has the player A and the player B. So here is A. The pointer works? No, it doesn't work. Okay, so each couple has $100. The player A can make only one offer. How to distribute those $100 between them both. Only one offer. Yeah, there is no counter offers. And player B can only accept or rejects. If player B rejects, yeah, they both get nothing. For example, the player E can say, okay, I get 90 to get 10. You get 10. So the player B says, okay, I reject, so we both get nothing. Or I accept, I get 10, you get 90. Player B was in front of a shark, no? The player A who offered only 10 and kept 90 was a shark. But we also separated the couples in two groups. You get the game? See? All clear? The player A can say also 50-50. Yeah? Or 40-60 or 10-90, which is not probably, but they can say also too. So the couples are separated in two groups. Yeah, the first group suppose that they are not known to each other and they will not meet never again in the future. Yeah, and the second group says, okay, you both, player A and player B, player A and player B, sorry, you have a long-standing relationship and you will continue negotiating in the future. Okay? So, player A, player B, two kinds of groups. The ones who don't know each other and will not meet again in the future, never again. And the ones that have a long-standing relationship. So what happens normally in the game? Yeah. In the one-shot negotiation, yeah, the ones where they don't know each other, the player A try to maximize his or her gains. Yeah. So the offers were more like 90-10, 80-20, okay, 70-30. And the player B has nothing to lose. If you get offered $10 for nothing, okay, I prefer to have the $10. I have nothing to lose. So anything that was offered to player B, they accept it, yeah, most of the time. But in the long-standing relationship, the offers of player A are more fair, more 50-50, 40-60, 60-40. Yeah, more in the middle. And if the offer was not fair, for example, 80-20 or 70-30, many times player B rejected. So he had the opportunity to get $20 for nothing, but he rejected. Why? Because he wanted to the player B, he wanted to know that he's being unfair. He wanted to deliver a message. Player B wanted to say, you are being unfair. We both get nothing. Because you don't have to be unfair with me. We have a long-standing relationship. and they leave a precedent for the future. So the next time they have to negotiate, do you think player A is going to offer something like 70-30, 80-20? No, it's going to be more like 50-50. So in relationships, sometimes it's better to lose this negotiation, to have your emotional bank account full for the next negotiation. So when you have a long-standing relationship, it happens to me when I was key account manager for Walmart. I had to see the Walmart buyer 3 times a week during 2 years. So I had to take care of the relationship. And most of the time, the relationship costs more than the negotiation itself. And this is another example. Who knows this guy, this young guy here? Who is it? Who is him, pardon? Sorry. No? Nobody? No? It's Albert Einstein. Younger. Abraham Flexner was the person in charge of the Princeton Studies Center. And during the 1930s, when the Nazis were taking over the power in Germany, Albert Einstein, the only thing he wanted to escape from Germany. He wanted to go away. And they spoke. And Albert Einstein said, okay, I'm going to Princeton for $3,000 a month. That's going to be my salary. I don't need more. I just want to go away from Germany. And Abraham, very smart guy, he said, okay, I'm going to give you $9,000, 3x. So he ended up paying more. But that made Einstein feel in debt with Abraham Flexner. And Einstein stayed in Princeton working for 20 years until his death because of the reciprocity principle. And so you have to ask, is the relationship with this counterpart I'm negotiating with matter? How much is it worth? I'm willing to lose? You have to question yourself that before you sit to negotiate with someone. The fifth foundation of effective negotiation is the other party interest. And negotiations are not unidimensional. We're not talking about only price. There are other dimensions we have to take into account. And my friend Kelly, well, she's not my friend, but I know her from LinkedIn. We are LinkedIn friends, actually. She was a business developer for a waste management company in Arizona. So they were bidding for a contract with a Californian county. So Californian county, they had a problem with their waste. They needed someone to take it away. And they called some suppliers and they presented offers. Kelly won the contract with the highest price. Why? Kelly understood that because of erosion in California, beaches were shrinking. So they have a sand problem. And what's the thing in Arizona they have most? Sand. No, Arizona is here. Sand. She said, okay, I bring you sand. I will bring you sand to your beaches that were shrinking, and I get your waste. So she amplified the scope of work of her offering. So even though she had the highest price, she won the contract because she understood the customer had another need, which was sand. So about this point, you have to, first of all, understand if you are talking to the right person. Because if you are not negotiating with the person who is the decision maker, anything you do to influence or to convince that person is going to be wasted. You need to be sure that you are negotiating with the right person, the decision maker. You have to understand what their obstacles are. What might be the reasons they can say no to your proposal. And you also have to find common ground, which are our common goals. We think, what in common do we have? And you have to identify which high value items that cost you little, you can offer in the future in the negotiation. Yeah. And the last thing, leverage, if I translate it literally from the Spanish term, is apalancar. Okay, but poder de negociación, negotiation power. I put this frying pan because of the saying. Anyone can say it? What's the saying about the pan, the frying pan, that can explain what leverage means? The one who has... Exactly. So the question here is, who has el sartén por el mango? Who has the leverage? Who has the negotiation power? And here, this person has it. The one who has least to lose from a no deal. Like in the relationships. Who's the one who suffers least? The one who is least in love. Okay? So who has the least to lose? The one who's got the best BATNA. BATNA means best alternative to a negotiated agreement. So what's my alternative? Alternative, plan B. What's my plan B? The one who has the best plan B has the most leverage in the negotiation. Okay? And we have three types of leverage: the positive one, the negative one, and the normative one. The positive leverage is, I have something you want, and I can decide if I give it to you or not. The negative leverage, which is more threatening, is you have something I can take away from you. Yeah, it's frightening. The normative leverage is, are those standards, norms, studies, mathematics help to support my position in the negotiation? The laws, do they help support my position in the negotiation? So you have to assess those three of them. And this is a form we use before the negotiation. So all those 6 foundations I mentioned to you before, we fill this form. So this form helps us assess the situation, the whole situation. Everything I told you, you can summarize it there. So this is the homework we do before we sit on the table to negotiate with someone. And second step, so remember, we were seeing a 4-step model, a simplification of the reality. We just studied the 6 foundations to prepare our negotiation, but now, okay, I sit in the table with the person I'm negotiating with. I have to exchange information. I had a plan, right? I had the form I filled the night before, so I have to test it. So we sit with a person, I test my plan. So I thought maybe he was cooperative, but he wasn't cooperative. I just found out there when I sit with the person, he was competitive. So I have to start testing my plan, my hypothesis. When I sit in the table with the person, I can signal the leverage. Yeah, I can mention what is my plan B. So I need to show I have negotiation power. But those both things don't work if I don't generate trust. I have to generate trust. So the person who masters trust is Chris Voss. Chris Voss, our FBI agent, he wrote a book, Never Split the Difference, and in Spanish is Rompe la barrera del no. Because when you negotiate, you normally say, okay, let's go 50-50. This is the easier way to end up a negotiation, to close a negotiation. So I have put a price 50, the other one put it 100. We say, okay, let's go 75. This is the easiest way to close a quick negotiation. But he said, okay, I cannot say, give me some legs, or give me the half of the hostages and kill the others. He couldn't split the difference. So he teaches in his book a way to never split the difference. And it's very fun book because he tell real stories when happened to them negotiating with very dangerous kidnappers all over the world. But he introduces this term, tactical empathy. He says you need to generate tactical empathy. The other one needs to know you are understanding them. So there are 4 tactics. I'm not going to go through all of them, but he teaches 4 tactics to show the other part you are understanding, you are sitting in the other part chairs. So when the other part knows you are understanding him, they lower the defenses. Yeah. So I'm not going to talk about more of this part, but I really recommend you the book. And I'm sorry, there. Step 3. So I made my plan, right? The night before, I did my homework. I sit in front of the person I'm negotiating with. I tested my plan. I generated trust. I know what he wants or she wants. I know what I have to offer. Okay, should I make the first offer? Or should I wait for the other person to make the first offer? Which one? Depends on what? Okay. The answer is depends. It's a good answer. Depends. Maybe. Well, the answer is, should I open? Yes, always. Unless, there is a little unless. I have not enough information. If I have enough information, I should always open. I should always make the first offer. Always. Why? Because we anchor the negotiation. We set the starting point of the negotiation. And where you set it? When they saw the sopa, do you remember? I set the price to my side. So the other part has to move the price to the other side of the negotiation. So I set the starting point to my side. We anchor the negotiation. So that's why we always should open, unless we don't have enough information. And then we open, right? And they could say no. They could say yes, and we close the negotiation. But most of the time, they say no. Because people in the industry, they are trained and taught to say no the first time. They never say yes the first time. Of course, if you say yes, you are leaving money on the table for free. So they are trained to say no. So we always get involved in negotiations. My Walmart buyer always say no, always, by default. They had the no tattooed in their forehead. But when they say no, you need to start making concessions. So in the preparation plan, you identified which high value items for them that cost you little to you can offer. So you start offering concessions, right? But each concession must be lower than the one before. Because every time they ask you for more, you give them less. Yeah? So there is not an incentive to continue asking for more things, because every time you are reducing your concessions. So that's why you need to go moving this way. Okay, giving less value every time. And are we in time? Oh, we're good. Right. The last part of the negotiation. Closing and gaining commitment. So you are in this game, give and take, right? I give you this, you give me that, and so on, right? So how we close? Well, the main objective of the negotiation is to reach an agreement with the counterpart, because we have a conflict, right? The conflict is the price I want to pay for the house. So you need to reach an agreement, the price, for example. But you also need to reach commitment. Yeah. What happens if the other part doesn't fulfill the agreement? What's going to be the penalty? So we always, in the industry I move in, we are so good reaching agreements. But in the execution of the negotiation or in the execution in the agreement, we are a little loose. So we need to be sure that we have a commitment. We set a commitment. So what happens if the other part doesn't do their part? Yeah, we need to set it when we close the negotiation. And if we're having troubles closing the negotiation, there are some tactics I can use. The first one is the scarcity syndrome. I can say, okay, we have only a few units. If you don't buy now, you're going to lose it. So when you go to the Cyber Monday, for example, Cyber Monday, 3 days, you have only few units. So you want to buy now because you don't want to lose. You have the FOMO. Who knows what FOMO means? Fear of missing out. Huh? You have the FOMO. You're going to put some deadlines. You're going to say, okay, if you don't answer by tomorrow, no deal. Yeah, because my boss is demanding an answer by tomorrow, so if you don't get it by tomorrow, no deal. So you put a deadline. You need to make sure that the deadline, or you need to make sure that the other person doesn't think that the deadline depends on you. Yeah, the deadline must depend on another person. Because if the deadline depends on you, the person negotiating, the deadline happens to be another item within the negotiation. So if the deadline is external and you cannot touch it, it's a real threat or deadline. The other tactic is a walk away threats. Okay, I'm going. I don't like the way you are negotiating with me now. I'm going. I'm just stand up from the table and go. No deal. You can say that. And sometimes, if you have a good leverage, it happens to be a good decision. If they don't have a good leverage, that's why you have to know more or less what the other party's leverage is. If they don't have a good leverage, they will call you later on. They will call you, come back please. Come back to negotiate with me. So you need to make sure you have a good leverage yourself and they have a low leverage or bad leverage. So they will call you back. And if none of these three tactics works, we have the joker, the wild card. Which one do you think is the wild card? The joker. We are not reaching agreement. Okay, the price here, my price here. What's the wild card? The joker. Comodín. Split the difference. Yeah, let's go 50-50. It's good, the 50-50, because it helps you close faster negotiations, but you are not maximizing your profit or your benefit. It's a good wildcard, yes, but it's not the one that gives you the most profit you can take off. So we just went through the 4-step process. Model is a simplification of reality. The negotiation process is a lot more messy than the model is. And you can actually move from step 2 to 1, from step 3 to 2, from step 3 to 1. That's why a model. But the actual negotiation, in reality, is not unidirectional. You can move from several steps, go and back, forward and back. So that's it. Questions? The last time I presented in English, it was, I mean, in a scenario was 12 years ago when I defended my article in Queensland. It was a mess. I feel this was a little better. Please, your name? Okay, I'm going to get you the microphone.
Hay otro.
Hello?
Sí.
Hola? I see. Your name, please?
Nicole.
Nicole.
Martin. I have a question. When do you recommend using the joker in the case of when you're closing a negotiation?
When the deadline is just in front of you. The joker is a joker. So when you are not reaching agreement with your terms, the joker is a good way to say, okay, I'm making a concession, a big concession for you. You do the same for me. So when you are reaching a deadline, which is important to you, just throw it, the wild card.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, many questions. Here are the guys. They went first. Kachipun. Name, please, and the question.
Francisco.
Francisco.
I wanted to ask, how did you guys, like the managers of P&G, convince investors during the pandemic to give out products like the masks or shampoo and everything, because people couldn't go and buy, but they still needed to clean themselves or, for example, buy diapers and stuff? How did you convince, how did you negotiate with investors?
It's a good question. When there are crises in the stock market, investors do two things. They move to commodities, and they move to very stable companies. Procter & Gamble is a company that has almost 200 years, and they sell basic products, very basic products, diaper, shampoo, fabric care products. So it's not a choice for people to buy a shampoo. They need to wash their hair. So it was not a big negotiation because it was natural. During crisis, the stock market moves to very stable companies. Procter & Gamble, fortunately, was one of them. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
No, give me a sec, please. I'm dry. Name and the question.
Yeah, my name is Leon.
Leon.
So my question is, what do you think is the most important intel you need to gather before a negotiation or before meeting the person you're trying to negotiate with? Like,
excuse me, the most important what?
Intel, like the information you think is most important to have clear and or to get some leverage before establishing a relationship with someone.
Great question. The 6 foundations of the negotiation. You need to know the bargaining style of the other party. You need to know if you're in the front of a shark or a more cooperative person. You need to know your goals, and you need to make a plan or a hypothesis of the other party's goals, at least an hypothesis. You need to know the standards and norms that surround the negotiation. You need to know the kind of relationship you want to have with the person, but the kind of relationship the person wants to have with you, because sometimes you want to have a long standing relationship, but the other person doesn't want. You need to know what are their pains, their interests, their needs, and you need to know your leverage and the other party's leverage. So you have to go through the 6 foundations before you sit negotiating with a person.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Leon.
Hi.
Name and the question.
My name is Maria Jesus.
Maria Jesus.
What I wanted to ask is, how would you recommend using these 6 tools you said before when the negotiation parts are smaller than P&G? Because I would think there's a difference between a negotiation process between a company like P&G or I don't know,
Unilever?
Pampers, yeah, whatever, and smaller.
Those are ugly.
And a smaller producer against, I don't know, a company like Walmart.
Yeah, great question. There is where the governments get into with their regulation. So you can read there are iconic cases of abuse of dominant position. That's, the translation, I don't know if this is right. So there are two things: the regulation, governments get involved in there to prevent abuse, but big companies like, for example, Walmart, even though SMU, Unimark, as their program of social responsibility, they are inviting small companies to sell products through them. So you have two different paths: the governed one through regulation, and the social responsibility programs that big companies have to help small companies grow. You can actually also read the case of Starbucks. They have deals with small coffee producers around the world, so they help communities grow. So there are so many cases, but I would say these two paths.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Maria Jesus. Whoa, many questions. In my time, we were not so participative. Thank you guys for the questions. That's great, right? Name and question.
Hello, my name is Hugo, and
Hugo.
I am wondering that...
Excuse me, do you get paid for making questions, or no? No, it's
sort
for
of,
free?
sort of.
Great, Hugo.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if you, as a leader at P&G, how do you train and guide your team to become effective negotiators?
Ooh, that's great. I have 10 persons in my team that report directly to me. But this training, we do it in a full day. So we have theoretical trainings, but we also go with our employees to negotiate with them. So we go with the customer and we observe how they perform, and we give them feedback afterwards. And the other thing, we do a lot of play role. So for example, if one person of my team tomorrow has to negotiate with a supplier, for example, we play role today to prepare him for tomorrow. So we do these three things: formal trainings like this, a lot longer. We go with our employees and we go to the battlefield with them. And the third is we do play role with them a lot.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Great. I don't know who was next.
Me.
Okay.
My name is Ignacio, and
Ignacio.
I wanted to ask, what are the most common pitfalls to avoid during the negotiation process?
Ooh, that's great. Pitfalls, preparation, of course. Yeah. If you don't prepare, you are preparing to fail. Yeah, that's what they say. The second one is not listening. There are people that don't listen, right? They want to make their point, and when the other person, they are not really listening, and they are thinking about what they're going to say next. So this is another big pitfall, yeah, not listening. There's one thing I didn't mention here, but when you are negotiating with a person with a lot of experience, 30 years in the market, and when you are a rookie, 2 years of experience, so it's difficult to sit face to face with them, right? So you can change the communication channel. So because the person with the experience, they're going to be a lot faster thinking, right? So you can do it by email. The email gives you time to think. WhatsApp. So if you are not sure about something you want to say, you don't answer and you take your time. So assessing the experience of the other person is also important. So I would say those three main pitfalls are the most common. Well, yeah.
Thanks.
Great. We have one hand there. This was a lot before. Yeah, great.
Yeah,
Shot.
my name is Mateo,
Mateo.
and my question is, how can I improve my negotiation skills?
Practice. No fear. And one of the things that are a lot of common is the fear of losing in a negotiation. So when you get when you get into the market, right? When you get a job and you have to negotiate, align with your manager, your boss. What are the limits? Can I lose? So that if your boss lets you lose the negotiation, you get more empowered because you're not feeling you're failing. You're already aligned with your boss. These are the boundaries. This is my walk away. It doesn't matter if I don't close because you aligned it with your boss or your manager before. So this is one thing or one advice I could give you. Align with your manager or your boss, you walk away. So you go with confidence into the negotiation. And the other thing is practice. Practice a lot.
Hi.
Yeah, and then this lady here, because she's been waiting a long time. So, come on, shut.
Okay, thank you. My name is Vicente, and I want to ask, what are the advantage and disadvantage of making the first offer in a negotiation?
Advantage, you set the starting point. You are putting on the table, okay, I want to start from here. And the other part, we'll have to move it from your starting point that you set, which is closer to your goal than their goal. So this is the advantage. The disadvantage is when you don't have enough information, you might leave money on the table. For example, I want to buy a house. I say, okay, I'm going to pay 100. But what happens if the other part was willing to sell it for 80? So this is the disadvantage, the main one. Right?
Hi, I wanted to ask you.
Name?
Florencia.
Florencia.
If you can tell us a situation that you experienced when you have to use the joker, and how much did you lose because you didn't reach the negotiation that you wanted, like a situation that you experienced?
Oof, that's a great question. In pandemics, when the e-commerce was flourishing from overnight, Genoma Lab, which was a company where I worked. Genoma Lab are the ones who sell shampoo Tío Nacho, crema Cicatricure, crema Goicoechea, X-Ray, and some other personal care and health care products. Genoma Lab didn't have much developed his e-commerce, but they did have television, a lot of television, a lot of minutes. So when I wanted to enter in Falabella Marketplace, they were asking a fee about 20%. So if I sell 100, they kept 20, so which is a lot of margin in the industry. So I said, okay, I'll pay you 10 and I'll give you back 10 in television. So I have to give away minutes and I have to pay the 10 as well. So I have to give something away. The good thing is I was able to sell my products in Falabella. The bad things are I reduced my margin within that customer.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Here? Okay.
Hello, my name is Camila.
Camila?
I have another question related to what she said. Do you recall any other occasions where maybe the negotiation strategy failed? Because I think failure to a company is very important because it creates opportunities to learn and grow. So are there any situations that you have experienced where and the negotiation failed, and what did you learn from it?
Okay. Failing, we fail a lot, every day. And it's part of your job to fail because you learn, as you said. I don't know if I could say failing, because not closing a deal is not failing, because not closing a deal is, okay, we didn't reach an agreement. I was not willing to put in the position you are asking me to be in. I would say bad negotiations and failures are those who affect you in the future. I talked about precedents. So in my case, for example, I was 2 years ago, key account manager from Procter & Gamble to Walmart. But after me came Reinaldo, teammate, a mate in the company. And after Reinaldo will come another person, and another person, another person. And everything you do today will affect those persons who will take the role in the future. So bad negotiations, I remember yearly negotiations or JVP, joint business plan, made by an ex-partner who was in the role in Walmart that forced me to pay huge amounts of money monthly to a customer for something didn't return in profits. I could say that. So beware of presents, the presents you leave for the other person. So at that time, maybe, that was a successful negotiation because that person wanted to be in the aisle in the main stores and they pay a lot of money because at that time there was a lot of profit in the company. So maybe at that time it was a good result, but it was not sustainable in the future. So be careful with the presents you leave and for the person that will take the role or your role in the future. Great. The partner there.
My name is Bruno.
Bruno?
I wanted to ask a question about the negotiation part of the process. That is when you are, for example, negotiating with a business that has shark tendencies, but you have the leverage. So I wanted to ask, how do you establish your leverage without seeming hostile or like a shark to them and driving them away from the opportunity?
Awesome question. Poker face. Poker face. And you make sure when you sit face to face, signal your leverage. So, and it's not being hostile. You are exchanging information. So you are getting the other person to know you when you tell them about your leverage. And big companies such as Walmart and Cosud, they do it all the time. When I sit in the table with Walmart, they say, okay, but L'Oreal already offered me that. So if I don't close with you, I will go with L'Oreal. No problem. Shampoo Elvive, they sell the same that the Pantene, so no problem. So signal it. Poker face.
Okay.
Great.
Hi, my name is Catherine.
Catherine?
Yes. I actually have two questions. First, you talk about the experience that you had at Walmart being a key account manager. Considering that, how much was the percentage of service level that you had there?
What do you mean by service level?
Nivel de servicio.
Fill rate?
Yes.
Well, it depends on the time. In pandemics when transport cost tripled and some raw materials were scarce, we reached 70% at that time, the worst time. But now I would say we are around 93, 95%, more or less. Yeah.
Thank you. And the second question,
which is a quite good number.
Yes.
I mean the average industry is about 90, 88. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And the second question is that P&G has a lot of a strong e-commerce presence. Around how much of the weight of that e-commerce sales are from Walmart?
It depends on the country. In Chile, for example, 2 years ago, Walmart didn't weigh almost nothing. Yeah, because their service level to their customers was very low, the found rate, which is called the KPI. Today, they got more in line with their peers. And in Chile, I would say Walmart is around 25% of the total e-commerce sales. And in the US, for example, they are struggling against Amazon, for example. In Europe, Walmart, they are not in Walmart, so it's almost Carrefour. I would say during the last 1 year, they are reaching their fair share. So they are more or less 25, 30% here in Chile, at least where they participate.
Okay, thank you.
Great. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hands. Go, please, shoot. One last. I'm sorry, guys. If you invite me a beer later on, we could keep talking. Name and question.
Hi, my name is Gabriela.
Gabriela.
And I wanted to ask you, how do you face a demotivating situation or bad scenario that does not depend on your manage of a business to move forward with it? And which mindset do you
Scenario
recommend us?
which doesn't depend on me.
Yes.
Okay, estoicismo, stoics. If the scenario doesn't depend on you, embrace it. Embrace it. Do whatever is in your control. For example, economic crisis last year. For example, consumption was lowering, so the consumers were consuming less. They were moving to cheaper brands. So Procter & Gamble brands are most of them the most expensive brand within the category. So if the consumer is moving somewhere else, we have two big plans. So media, through media, try to convince the consumer that our products are better. So let's try to move them to high value brands. But the other thing is in-store execution. So 70% of purchase decisions are made within the store. Within the store. So when they get into the leader, into Jumbo, 70% of the decisions are taken there. So we needed to improve our in-store execution, to have our brands in a good blog, to have more exhibitions or displays out of the shelf, to increase our space, to improve our service level, to improve our on-shelf availability of product. In the checkouts, when you go to pay, to be in more checkouts, and so on. So we focused on the things we control it, and we embrace the things we are not controlling. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Christian?
Okay, well, thank you very much, Diego. We could be here the whole day, right? And I would like to know when is going to be your next course. I would all like to know that. It was a great presentation. Thank you very much. I think it really relates to what we're learning in class and what we have discussed sometimes. And you see how
motivated guys.
Motivated.
Thank you for the questions.
Thank
you for the questions. Right.
Yeah. And here we have a little present for you.
That's a gift.
Thank you very much. Great.